All right, welcome everybody to another week of the Commanders Film Room. We have a wild card edition for the Washington Commanders. This week, you guys can see us preview the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, and you guys can find us every Tuesday on YouTube and X. I'm here with my co-hosts Mark Bullock and Nick Ackridge. How you guys doing today, gentlemen?
Good. How are you?
Cannot complain.
Cannot complain whatsoever. So, gentlemen, we're sitting here at 12-5. The Commanders had a titillating, kind of interesting game against the Cowboys, winning 23-19 with a last-second touchdown strike going into the game. Mark, I want to start off with you. How would you describe this season? Obviously, Jaden Daniels has been a comet. He's been playing very, very well. He's been, a star on the field, but the games have been kind of up and down. But, a 8-game improvement is definitely nothing to sneeze at. What is one takeaway? What's one word to describe the season in your opinion?
Exciting, one word.
Okay.
I mean, sure. It's been a little bit chaotic of late, and the last minute winners and stuff like that. But I always just have to take it back to they're projected to win 6 games by most people, and they have doubled that. And they are just so far ahead of schedule, and that's why I'm personally feeling like this playoff game is a bonus. It does not matter. It's a free hit, as we'd say over here with cricket. You can just have a free swing of the bat. You don't have to worry about getting out. You had a great season regardless. And if you manage to hit a home run off of that free hit, then great. And so, it has been a little bit chaotic. And there's definitely a lot to improve on and build on going forward. But I don't think anyone can be anything but ecstatic about how this season's gone.
I love having Mark on here because a little education, some cricket language. I appreciate that, Mark. I'm going to pivot over to Nick really quickly. So, it's been a crazy year, 12-5. We're going into the playoffs right now. Last 5 games have been nail biters, right? So we won 20-19 against the Saints by a stop on a 2-point conversion. A 36-33 win against the Philadelphia Eagles on a last-minute Jamison Crowder touchdown, an overtime win against the Falcons, and then a last-second touchdown against the Cowboys. So heart attack city for Washington. Obviously, we're looking, that's one thing to be proud of, that you have that clutch gene going into the playoffs. But, Nick, do you have any concerns going into the playoffs? What are your thoughts on, our state of the team going into the playoffs moving next week?
Yeah, I got a lot of concerns with it. It hasn't really made much sense how they continue to win games. Well, it does with Jaden Daniels, but you're just kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop a little bit. I mean, we've kind of seen that for 30 years now. It's always going to end terribly, and it hasn't yet. So I'm kind of afraid that's going to happen in the playoffs. But I'm just riding the high right now. I don't really, like Mark said, I'm not too nervous for the game. I'm just more so just excited to watch them play in a playoff game.
Exactly right. I think as Mark kind of alluded to, we're kind of playing with house money, right? No one expected us to be here going down to Tampa. They're giving us that primetime spot, that Sunday night football spot. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And I think Washington's beatable. I don't know if you guys feel that way. I know, Baker Mayfield can be hit or miss. He can score 4 touchdowns that we saw in week 1. But I think with, Mikey Sanders still growing a little bit, Jaden Daniels growing a little bit, Marshall Lattimore now, it's going to be a pretty competitive game. So I'm really excited about that. Let's get into it, though, guys. We're here to study some film. I know Nick wanted to touch on the run game. I actually asked him about this because, in my personal opinion, going up to the Steelers game, the Washington Commanders had a pretty strong run game, but then we started to kind of hit a lull there. And for the past couple of weeks, we haven't been looking too great. So I asked Nick, whose specialty is the run game analysis. So I want him to break it down for us, and I'm going to throw the mic over to him.
Yeah, I mean, it's we've talked about it a lot that, a lot of it is execution. And that's kind of that was the theme, at least this past week against the Cowboys. It doesn't help when you've got, guys playing hurt, injured, you've got backups in there, and losing Biotish is a big problem. And, they've run these similar concepts and they've worked, and people make their blocks and whatnot. So right now it really has just kind of come down to kind of poor execution. And that was kind of the story against the Cowboys. Basically clipped up every single run play. They only ran it 15 times because they couldn't get anything going. And just going to kind of talk through why some failed, why some worked, and all that fun stuff. So this is the first one of the game. It's just it's a split zone. different look here. You're going to have the whole line going this way. He's going to motion here, come back across. Just kind of your simple inside zone. But again, it only gains a few yards here. You can see right there. So big problem here. Cowboys are going to end up slanting their line. So these guys are all going to slant over a gap, which causes a problem whenever you have offensive linemen that need to kind of work over to the right. We looked at it, I think a couple weeks ago. Mark was talking about defensive stunts in the run game and how sometimes it works for you. This is one of those times where it works against you. And it is it's not a great kind of look here. Let me see if I can draw this out. So what they have here is you're going to have Sanat up here. You're going to have Wiley, Cosme kind of work up towards one of these linebackers. Sort of same over here. I believe I drew that out right. But that's kind of how it's typically going to go. Pre-snap never is how it's going to be post-snap. And so you kind of see this picture here, and you've already got problems. You've got Parsons flashing across the face of Wiley, forces him to bounce to an unblocked linebacker at the second level. But this is kind of the thing that's been happening a lot is you've seen these kind of mental errors here. And if you ever see, this is kind of a key to kind of look at. If you ever see two offensive linemen on a second level defender, aka like a linebacker, you know someone's messed up somewhere. Either someone's messed up somewhere, they don't have enough, or they have too many guys to block. But it's usually that someone's messed up. And on this case, I believe that this is on Sam Cosme here. So we kind of talked about it before. Pre-snap, this is your assignment. These guys are going to be kind of working up towards this linebacker here. They're working up towards this linebacker. Coleman's here. I can't remember. I think Zach Ertz slides out. But these two, he's going to come back through here, and then he's going to be kind of left unblocked. The slant kind of messes things up for Cosme. He's stuck on the wrong defender here. And then you've got an unblocked player that usually wouldn't make too much of a problem on this play, but with Parsons flashing in, Robinson's forced to cut it out. And you got a short game.
And Nick, just kind of follow up on that because you obviously are trained in this. So having the offensive line going to that second level and doubling it up, the reason why that's an error is because they're maybe skipping the first blocker they should be hitting on. Is that what's going on there?
Somebody either they're moving off of their down lineman too quickly, or they're moving to the wrong second level defender.
Got it.
That's kind of a key that we sort of look at.
Okay.
Because usually what you're looking for is these kind of double teams that work up. Sometimes with inside zone, you're not looking at these double teams. But in this one, Cosme needs to be up to here because this is now kind of more nuanced. But what the defense is going to do and what they've done all game is when you have this, you can sort of see it pre-snap here. When John Bates motions, you can watch all of the defenders move over with him. So now you've got new gaps for everybody. And then when he motions back over again, they need to now bounce back over again. So this looks like a far block for Cosme to go. But once these defenders kind of flow back with that split motion, that's where he needs to be.
Got it.
And a real good zone running team that like only ran zone, Cosme would have picked up the Parsons stunt, and Wiley would have passed it off and gone up and picked up the linebacker at the next level. But those kind of stunts are designed to disrupt zone schemes, and when you specialize in zone, you learn those stunts and you pass those off very well. But if you have as many run schemes in the playbook as Washington has, it's hard to master every single stunt, pick up and pass off for all of your different zone schemes.
You'll kind of, we've highlighted the millions of different run concepts that they have, and they do it all so quickly as well with tempo. The one you'll see a lot is just this simple zone read that we've seen for forever now. And this is another short yardage situation. This is just when Jaden Daniels is just being Jaden Daniels. Everything here is blocked how you would want it to be blocked. They're running, I believe, what's a pirate stunt. So they're kind of, Parsons going to flash down, linebacker's going to go over the top. So now Parsons has the quarterback, or he's got the running back, and then 35 here will have the quarterback. Parsons guesses right, but Jaden is just too quick and too fast, and you get it right there. And You got a first down on a short yardage situation, and he's primarily the reason they're so good on short yardage situations.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So next up here, this I think, this was the hold. This was just unfortunate. Mark, I'd love your kind of opinion on this. I don't think this is a hold, but it doesn't. It looks bad the way he threw him down, but I just kind of think it's an. I guess if I was on the other side, I would call it a hold. But I don't think it was a hold. I think it's just a good block. I can see why the ref calls it because you're looking at it here and you see that arm wrapped around. But I think
I don't think it's a hold.
Okay, thank you. I also think that if Robinson makes the correct cut here, that it's not called a hold. I think so. He should be hitting right here, especially with the way Bates is blocking this to the outside. You don't really want to cut against that leverage there. And the way Robinson kind of cuts, it makes it look worse than it actually is. You can even see Bates at the end.
Let me throw a question out to you guys. So over the last week or so, Brian Robinson's vision has been kind of questioned. Do you guys agree to that? Do you think he has pretty good intuition in the run game, or is there a fair criticism there?
I don't know if it's the vision more say. I think right now with Robinson, for me, I think he looks a little different. He's not forcing as many missed tackles. He's not as explosive right now, and I don't know what he's dealing with injury-wise, but that's kind of been the thing for me. I don't see too many instances of this where he's kind of bouncing it wrong.
Okay.
I just think he's kind of lost a little bit right now.
But, do you agree, Mark?
My thing with Robinson has always been like they've been leaning a lot more on zone scheme stuff, in part because they've been using read option stuff, and that meshes easier with zone stuff. And Brian Robinson has never been a zone runner. He's never been a guy that is really patient, presses the hole, and forces that over pursuit and cutback. He's been a kind of, I want to get downhill, I want to go thump some guys. And that's why he was so good early in the year when they were using a bunch of different gap scheme stuff, and he would just hit it. Whereas the zone stuff requires a little bit more patience and nuance. And that's why when you've seen Chris Rodriguez come in, he's done really well because he is much more of a natural zone runner, and he's more willing to go press the hole, press the front side, create the cutback lane. So yeah, that's been the thing lately for me for Robinson is that he's just not quite as natural a zone runner, and they've been using a little bit more zone scheme lately.
You can sort of see that here. He's kind of quick to the hole, quick to cut, instead of kind of being patient, set this up. And you got a nice double team here by Allegretti and Dieter, and just kind of follow behind that, cut up there, and you've got a nice gain. Cuts against the leverage, gets a hole, bad call. But again, you're still cutting against Coleman's leverage here, so he has no chance on the block. You're cutting against, I think that's Sanat over here. He's got no chance on the block. So it's just unfortunate because you do have this blocked up pretty well. I think Cosby needs to stay on this double team because these two are working to 41, but it doesn't really matter because you would have at least a nice 5-6 yard gain. But bad cut leads to a hold, bad call, and now you're in bad spot.
Mm-hmm.
This was the frustrating one where they just go the wrong way. And it was frustrating to start, but then now you get to see how good Jaden Daniels is. And to get, I think he gets 7 yards out of this play on 1st and 10 or 1st and 20 or whatever it was, is pretty impressive. So Eckler needs to, Jaden's right on this one. Eckler is supposed to be to the left of Daniels here. He goes the wrong way, so Jaden just says screw it. And then at that point, it's just kind of free for all and gets out of bounds, doesn't even take a hit. So that's, again, just him being good, better than everyone else. Next up, again, now you got a pin pull here. No more inside zone. We're back to pin pull. It also does not work. Just, again, kind of bad blocks. This is just execution. This isn't anything like, the Cowboys are doing anything special here. It's just kind of poor execution. See if I can kind of draw this up the way I want to. You're going to have these tight ends pin here, pin up to 35. Or I can't remember which one they pinned, but that's the first pin we're looking at. It ends up being Bates on 55 here, and you can't let him kind of cross your face like that. He's in there on the tackle. That's the first bad one. Now you've got a pin here, the second pin here by Allegretti. Dieter's going to pull around. He gets kind of lost on who he's supposed to be pulling for. You've got Coleman. He's going to pull for the first guy, 24. Dieter needs to keep going out wide for 2. 2's unblocked, makes the tackle, and you just got another mess of a run play.
It's so funny, guys, because all year long we talked about how they work like a well-oiled machine. They basically were working in unison, working off each other, blocking, but for whatever reason, they're kind of lost that over the past couple of weeks. Do you attest that to injuries potentially? Do you attest it to maybe the Cowboys having a good scheme? It kind of sounds more like poor execution from what you guys are talking about.
I think it's execution injuries, not having Biotish there. I don't want to keep pinning on Dieter, but it's just it's quite the difference there. Mm-hmm. And not having your center is a problem. And we talk all year long about how an offensive line is just the more you play together, the better you are. And so you throw another guy in there, especially someone as important as a center, and it's just going to make things so much tougher.
Makes sense.
Next one here. This is one of the good runs of the day. I like this concept here. You're going to pull the center again. Everyone does their job. Everyone on the Cowboys does their job as well. He needs to spill that. And then Eckler's just able to get 6-7 yards here. Nice little run. Didn't happen very often. But again, I did pick every single run play. Again, pull the center. He's going to spill it to the linebacker, and the linebacker's got to make the play. He does, but Eckler gets about 6-7 yards. This is another nice one. Again, just a trick play, jet sweep motion. De'Ami Brown getting 7-8 yards out of it. So now you got a little bit something going. I wish Terry was getting these balls, but that's a different discussion.
It seems like Washington likes using De'Ami Brown for like screen plays and these reverses. I guess I like his size and his speed, but they use him often.
They love him.
They do.
I think he had 3 or 4 in a row schemed up to him when it was screens, run plays. But now we're back to kind of this second half of Mariota, and back to the kind of inside zone read option stuff. And we're back to not being so great here. This is when you kind of just need some, again, it's just you need some movement on these double teams. We'll show up, I think the very next play is what we're kind of looking for, but there's really no movement there. Again, I think Robinson kind of cuts this a little bit too early. I understand why he does with I think 6 flashing in there, but just no movement there on the double teams, able to kind of easily clean it up.
So, Nick, I guess the bigger question is, do you think it's fixable going into Tampa Bay next week? I know they have Vita Vea and they have some great defensive linemen over in Tampa.
If Biotish is playing, yes.
Okay.
If you've got Dieter on Vita Vea, it could be a big problem. But I think again, it's execution. I think is always fixable to a point. And it's just been kind of rough these past couple of weeks. But here's another good play, zone option again. They just kind of made a killing off this when the quarterback keeps it. Dallas kind of struggled with this, trying to figure out this read option here. Another good play by Mariota. We'll skip through the good stuff.
So I guess another question while you're fast forwarding, Mariota's second half looked pretty efficient. He was pretty decisive in the second half. Did they do anything differently when Marcus was in, or it's just that veteran experience when he walked on the field?
I didn't see anything too different. I didn't pay too close attention to what he was doing quarterback-wise.
Okay.
But he just seemed confident. And
he did.
Just willing to do whatever he wanted. I mean, he threw the ball across his body 40 yards downfield. So
he did.
He was willing to do anything there. But I did want to highlight this play. Another good one. This is the kind of movement that you're looking for. Again, I mean, this is great from your entire offensive line. The sideline angle will show it better here. But look at where this is called kind of resetting the line of scrimmage here. That's where the line of scrimmage is. And look at where they kind of end up. That doesn't help at all with the line there. But they end up from the 49 to the 45 here on the double team. Just good movement there.
Yeah.
So again, it's not all negative. This one is though. Another read option here. And again, this is just execution. You got your inside zone. You've been running it all game. Left guard and center. Double here up to 35. They're doubling here. I believe there's someone off the screen that they're going to get to. But left guard is just late off the double team. 35 is able to come in and make the tackle. Dieter does a decent job here, but kind of gets stood up a little bit. Robinson bounces right into him. Coleman's again heavy on this double team, a little bit late to get off that one. And you got another poor run. So it's all just kind of execution now.
Mm-hmm.
We can just let these next ones run. Inside zone again, zone option. This is another good run here. Great block by Cosme at the second level.
I think Eckler was the only running back to have like significant yards per carry from the last game, like maybe 4 or 5 yards per carry. While Brian Robinson had 2. So
yeah, well, I don't think Eckler. They didn't run the ball a lot because again, it wasn't really working.
Yeah,
but he was pretty good here. Another again, they just made a killing on the zone option. The Cowboys couldn't defend it, even when they had it defended. They couldn't tackle, and Mariota just makes a good play there for a touchdown. I believe that is the last of it. We got 2 more.
all right.
This is the start of the 2-minute drill here. Just a kind of a pretty easy run against the light box that they're dropping out of because, again, it's started the 2-minute drill there. Nice, easy run there for Robinson. But again, you can see the linebackers dropping, so there's no real threat there. Speed option play, disaster. But again, this is when I believe Trent Scott's in the game now. And he's playing left tackle, and he's really only been playing right tackle this year. I don't remember if he's played left tackle yet, but playing left tackle here, speed option. His job is to get to the second level and pin 50 here. He does not. 50 gets around him. Tackle for, I believe, no gain on here, and now you're looking at a pretty rough spot. But then you go back to the bread and butter of the zone option, and this play is awesome because of this guy.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
With the hand up in the air, thinking they've got it. Because they do. I mean, they do exactly what they're supposed to do on defense. They finally, again, they have it figured out. You've got Parsons going to crash down. Linebacker's going to come across the top, and he's got the quarterback. He's too wide. Mariota's through. And then you've got Hooker over here with his hand in the air.
He runs him down in his defense. Like, it's hilarious that he has his hand up, but he runs him down at the same time. But it's a great play.
That they've won the game basically with that stop.
Yeah.
And it actually ends up going for 30 yards. Credit to him, he catches up and makes the play, but
yeah, exactly.
Not a great look. So that was the run game from the Cowboys. It's just bad execution right now. It has been for the past couple weeks. And I think if you get a healthy Biotish back again, it'll look a little bit better.
Absolutely. All right, so let's pivot a little bit. So we look at the run game, look at how Washington's been struggling the past couple of weeks, but one person who hasn't necessarily been struggling at all is Jaden Daniels. I guess he's taking a step back a tiny bit, but we'll take a look at what Mark has over here. So kind of, Mark, frame for us what we're going to be watching right here.
So I thought I would just not put together a hype video, but basically put together a hype video of Jaden Daniels. No, I thought what I would do is showcase Washington's best chance of winning this playoff game and winning in the playoffs. And it's because of a guy called Jaden Daniels. And that feels fantastic to say about a Washington quarterback, that this guy gives them a chance of winning any game. And I'll start with some throws. I want to get into some of the running and the scrambling stuff because when you talk about a quarterback's development over a season, you want to see them in the regular season be able to pass the ball well and be consistent and find ways to win consistently in that manner. When you get to the playoffs, it's not so much about winning in that kind of style with a sustainable method. It's about doing whatever you can to win the game. And that's where you see guys like Mahomes that can scramble and go off script, or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. That's where you see those guys take over games and go win the games. And we've had a glimpse of that this year with Jaden Daniels in big situations. He shows his best and he takes over games. So and he has that scrambling ability to say, okay, the play isn't working, I'm going to go make it work. So I'll get to some of that, but I thought first we'll just start with some of his throws. And the last few weeks he's been really on fire, especially on some of the stuff that people said he couldn't do or questioned whether he could do it at the next level, which is throwing with anticipation over the middle. Yeah, partially Nick, but not too much. There was a lot of people that said this.
Yeah, some were very, very harsh on it. Some said he couldn't do it at all. I just thought he needed to do it more. And
and that's a totally fair comment. They didn't do it a ton at LSU because they didn't need to, because they had guys outside that could just bomb down the sideline. But there was examples there that he could. Anyway, so this is from the Saints game. You see Zacchaeus in the slot here, I think it is, and he's just going to run a little slant route or work around this linebacker or slot defender. And you'll see it from the end zone angle that Jaden Daniels rips this over the middle before he clears that defender. You can see here he's taking that step in, ready to throw the ball. Ball is in the throwing motion here. Zacchaeus hasn't cleared that window. He is trusting him to get to his spot, and he rips that ball into a very, very tight window. That's exactly what you want to see. That's great throw, perfect where you want it. Perfect throwing over the middle. A little later in the game, you get a little quick seam concept. We've seen this quite a few times. You get a clearing route from a sort of shallow cross. I think it's De'Ami Brown running this little shallow cross here. He's going to drag any defender across with him, and that's trying to vacate space behind him for Zach Ertz to run this quick seam where he's kind of faking going out and faking running a seam route and then break inside. And you see, typically, this defender is getting cleared out by this crossing route. Now, this defender is being rather annoying and staying in the throwing lane. But Jaden Daniels doesn't care. You can see already at this point, he has begun his throwing motion. The ball is behind him. He's ready to throw this ball. And you can see this zone defender has his eyes on him. He's in that throwing window, and he's not phased at all. And you'll see it from the end zone angle. He rips this ball right over the middle. Again, from this angle, you can see this linebacker is right where he wants to throw this ball, and Jaden Daniels doesn't hesitate. He's just like, okay, I don't care that you're in that throwing window and Zach Ertz hasn't cleared this yet. I'm just going to throw it to the second window behind you. And I mean, it's a hell of it's a great catch from Zach Ertz as well, by the way. Like that's a hell of a one-handed grab, but it's a great throw as well.
Look at him getting some yak as well.
Hey, we're gonna see some more of that later on. We're gonna see big yak Zach coming back. And then this one at the end of that Eagles game to win that Eagles game. Everyone's seen it by now, but it's still just a great throw, and everyone's talked about how this is more of a concept to try to get Ertz underneath, but they get the matchup they like with the linebacker not turning with Crowder, and he rips it to Crowder, and again we'll see it from the end zone angle. That's where you see it best. It is an absolutely beautiful throw, and you'll see
it's a great angle here.
You get the switch release, and you get Crowder on the linebacker and the safety over the top, and the linebacker turns to match Crowder, and at that point, Jaden Daniels knows, okay, well, his back is turned to me, and if the defender is not facing the quarterback, the old saying goes, they can only cover the width of their shoulders because they don't know where the ball is, they can't see the ball. At this point, Jaden Daniels, you can already see he's just beginning his throwing motion here, and Jameson Crowder is not even level with the linebacker, let alone clearing him, and he just puts this ball in a perfect spot. I mean, that's just beautiful anticipation, trusting they're going to hit that, and that's a huge touchdown.
Great call by Cliff too. Kind of attack their kind of red zone coverage that they love.
Exactly.
The quarters that they love. They run the entire game basically.
I think the one thing that I like about Daniels as well is that he throws with the anticipation. He knows how to use body language, or he observes body language and leverage of the defenders, and throws throws anticipatory throws in great spots as well, like either high, low, where only the receiver can catch. It's very impressive.
When he makes these kind of tight window throws, they're almost like always perfect. I don't really know how to describe it, but which it kind of makes you a little bit upset that he doesn't do it more, because there are opportunities there. But they're just like, it's incredible that he at 1 year in can already kind of understand, like you said, the leverage that defenders are playing with. Because for guys, it takes a long time to understand the kind of certain leverage that, if you see this defender playing with this leverage, you know that this is open. It doesn't matter what anything else is what else is happening. And for some guys, it takes a long time to get that. So those throws are ones you can kind of come back to and just think like, the sky's the limit for them.
Yep. And it was not just throws over the middle either. This was the deep shot to Diami Brown that kind of sparked their comeback. And this was another throw with great anticipation where he's reading the leverage of Darius Slay here. And you see he gets to the top of the drop. You can see Slay's got his back turned. And again, he's throwing based off that leverage that Slay's got his back turned, can't see the ball. He's trusting Diami Brown is with that head of steam is going to run by a Slay who was backpedaling, is having to flip his hips and turn and run. And he just puts that ball out based on the leverage of that. And he throws an absolute dime. Slay tries to track it and loses track of both the ball and Diami Brown. But it's a terrific throw. And then another one in that same game. This is the McLaurin touchdown just before the half, if I remember rightly, where Jaden Daniels actually slides the protection. I don't want to say the wrong way. It might be he fully intended to have this guy coming blind because he knew he was throwing that side. Essentially, he points to this linebacker. I assume he thinks this linebacker is the one that's blitzing, so he's sliding the line this way. And the line does slide this way, but the Eagles are actually dropping this guy off into coverage, and they're sending this linebacker who ends up coming free off the edge. Now, that could be entirely intentional because Jaden Daniels knows he wants to throw this ball down the sideline, and he wants to be able to see this guy coming while he does that. I think it's probably more the case that he got the line slide wrong, and it didn't matter because he's just good enough to
Nope, he's perfect. He did it on purpose.
So yeah, they slide the line to the right. You can see they're all sliding that way. That leaves Brandon Coleman in a tight spot where he's got a 2-on-1 with the linebacker and the edge guy coming off the edge. He squeezes inside on the linebacker as he should. That's the most direct route to the quarterback, which leaves the edge guy to Daniels, who's responsible for him. But again, Jaden Daniels he's not worried about this on the outside. He is looking at this, and you can see Quinyon Mitchell is focused completely on Terry McLaurin. His hips are starting to open towards the sideline, so he's not focused on Jaden Daniels at all. And again, with a guy in his face, based on the leverage, he just puts this ball out, trusting Terry McLaurin to go get it. And where does he go get it? It's an absolute dime, and it's a great catch. It's great tracking from Terry. There's only so many positive things you can say about Jaden Daniels making a throw. Like I've said them all already, but I mean, this is just outstanding stuff. He's got a guy in his face about to absolutely blow him up. Doesn't care. He threw with so much anticipation. McLaurin hadn't cleared Quinyon Mitchell yet, and he just threw it to a perfect spot. And McLaurin went and tracked it and scored.
I think the fun part about that is that was the second time he's made a throw exactly like that to Terry McLaurin. I think the Bengals won Monday Night Football where they call a zero blitz.
Yeah.
And usually quarterbacks, when they're hot, they go to their check down. But when Jaden Daniels is hot, he goes to the go ball.
Right.
Again, not typically what you're supposed to do, but if you get a touchdown out of it, then it doesn't matter.
That play was ridiculous too. Coming from a primary source, like I was at the stadium watching that from that side, from that end zone angle. As Mark alluded to, he threw the ball before Quinyon Mitchell even flipped his hips and before Terry McLaurin even broke. Like he threw the ball almost like it was going out of bounds. I'm like, where's this ball going? And you see Terry McLaurin track it. It was just gorgeous. And Terry's not necessarily known for tracking the ball over his head like that. It was a fantastic catch.
Well, it's tough to do when you catch with your forearms.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So it was a beautiful play.
And then just to round it off from that Eagles game, obviously the game-winning touchdown. Again, everyone's talked about this one. Sorry, this isn't the Eagles game. This is the Falcons.
Different bird.
But. Yeah, but this is another game-winning touchdown at the end of the game. It's the same quick seam concept we talked about earlier. They motion the guy in short. He's going to run the shallow cross to try to grab defenders this way. You're going to have this corner out from John Bates to, again, vacate the space in the seam. And you're going to have Zach Ertz who's going to kind of loop outside and then cut sharp inside. And Jaden's just going to rip it to him. So good scheme. Something they've run a lot, and something that those two obviously work on a lot and have a good connection on. And the ball placement is fantastic. And you'll see
I still don't know how he caught this ball.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
Like the way he's falling like that. I don't understand how he got his arms underneath it to kind of
Yeah.
watching that live. I didn't really kind of react the way you would typically do for a game-winning touchdown because I thought I was going to get called back. Like I thought he dropped it.
Yeah, I was worried about the same.
So yeah, I was shocked.
Gentlemen, what are your thoughts on Zach Ertz returning? Do you guys, I know he's one of our hot topics, no Zach on our show, but
the only I have been very pleasantly surprised with how good Zach Ertz has been. Yeah. I think he's been really, really good and really, really needed for Jaden. Maybe the yards and all that sort of stuff aren't there, but if you're kind of watching the film, the second his route is over, you can kind of tell with him, he knows exactly where he needs to be in terms of scramble drill stuff, or even if it's kind of in the route progression, he knows. And again, he's seen every single coverage. He's seen every single play at this point. So he's been instrumental for Jaden this year. And if he wants to come back for another year, I'd be all for it because he's been really good. I make fun of him for the no yak part, but it doesn't matter when you're constantly making catches.
Yeah, he's a heady player. Is there any credence to him maybe like stopping or stunting Ben Sinnott's growth by any chance, or do you think it's Ben Sinnott's not necessarily his role in the offense? I know we talked about on the show, Ben Sinnott's more like a H-back, more of a blocking back right now. Is that where he is as a talent right now, or do you think Zach Ertz is preventing him from getting that exposure? Either one of you guys.
I would say Ertz is probably limiting his opportunities to get catches. Okay. But I think you would probably prefer Zach Ertz out there.
Yeah, I mean, and he's also can learn from him. I mean, yeah, he's limiting his opportunity, but I'm telling you, Sinnott is not making the same sort of, decisions in his route that Zach Ertz is at this point, and that would hurt.
Ertz is a better route runner. Ertz understands, leverages how to attack those, where the space is in zones, and he knows how to make himself available to quarterbacks. Sinnott doesn't know any of that stuff yet. Sinnott will give you, if you let Sinnott run a shallow cross, he's going to run over guys and pick up yards after the catch, which Ertz is not going to do.
Yeah.
But if you want yak, you're going to McLaurin or one of your running backs, Austin Eckler and stuff like that. You're going to Zach Ertz to catch the first down and then move on to the next play.
You'd be shocked at how open Zach Ertz gets on some of these guys that are clearly better athletes than him, but he is constantly getting open against them.
He's savvy.
They've tried to get Sinnott involved. They've thrown some kind of design stuff for him where they're either the tight end league stuff where there's some, I think Jaden just overthrew it or stuff, but they've thrown some stuff in there for him. But yeah, he's not doing what Zach Ertz is doing right now, and I know for fantasy guys they don't like that, but Zach Ertz has been honestly one of, outside of Terry McLaurin, probably their most important receiver.
Absolutely. I think a lot of the fantasy dynasty guys are upset with Ben Sinnott, not necessarily showing right now. One last question before we jump into more film work. What are your thoughts? I know Jaden's elevating the wide receivers right now. Do you think it's imperative to get a wide receiver 1A right now, like a big fish to essentially complement Terry McLaurin, or do you think more of the itches are the offensive line? Or both? Obviously the answer is both. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think you have to go get a number one receiver to go opposite Terry. Obviously, that would be very nice.
Luxury.
I don't think you have to go do that. I think what we've seen this year is that Jaden can elevate other receivers. I think my priority would still be building up that offensive line, and because that offensive line can help in more ways. It can help with the run game. It can help with obviously pass protection. It can help with screen games and all that stuff. So I think you build that offensive line up, and you trust that your second round pick or your second overall pick is a guy that can elevate the receivers on the outside by doing the stuff we've seen, where he's anticipating windows that aren't necessarily there yet, and if all goes wrong, he can just scramble around, and we'll get to some of that in a minute. He can just scramble around and make it right. So yes, it would be nice to have a great receiver opposite Terry, and if you can do it, then sure. But I'd be prioritizing offensive line personally.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you need to go, reset the market on a T. Higgins or go make a Tyreek Hill trade. I don't think you need to do that. I think you do still need to put a little bit of, high value capital into, whether that's a first round pick, whether that's maybe, again, not signing someone like a T. Higgins at the top of the class, but you definitely do need to add. And you got to put Luke McCaffrey on the field. But yeah, I think they get. We talked about this at the start. This team should not be here right now with what their roster looks like, and so you need to kind of add everywhere, and you've got the cap space to do that. So.
Yeah, I'm in the camp of maintaining our draft picks, building around Jaden. I wouldn't mind, in free agency potentially going after a wide receiver, but I don't think it's imperative to trade a draft pick because I think
I don't think Peters is the type of guy that's going to go out and make that big sort of splash. I think he's been pretty not conservative, but pretty, steady with what he's done throughout the year or throughout the last offseason. So.
It gives you more flexibility long term, in my opinion. Having the draft picks, the draft capital, the smaller contracts you can move around. So that's my perspective. Sorry, Mark. Go ahead, bro.
So we can carry on where I was with Jaden, right? So he's still getting new looks and stuff thrown at him, and he's still a rookie quarterback, so he's still prone to mistakes and stuff. I think one of the things that's most encouraging is even at this point late in the season, you're seeing him learn live on the field, and this play was his interception against the Falcons a few weeks ago, where they run a simulated pressure where they've got a bunch of guys up on the line of scrimmage and it looks like it's going to be a big blitz. It's actually just a 4-man rush, but they're disguising which 4 are rushing, and you see these 2 guys out here are going to drop off into coverage, and this linebacker is going to be the 4th rusher, and they're going to get a bit of an overload, and Jaden's going to see this guy rushing, and he's going to think, okay, I'll just throw over the blitz to, I think this is James Crowder, or it might be Zacchaeus in the slot. I'll just throw over it, which more often than not would be fine. But because they've got these guys sinking out, this linebacker in particular is going to sink out straight underneath that route and intercept the pass. And it's a really nice scheme, and you can see him here. He's sinking out, having bluffed rushing, and Jaden sees this linebacker blitzing and thinking he's coming free. Okay, I got to throw hot to James Crowder here, and normally that would be the right decision, but this linebacker is going to come and jump under that one and intercept it. And it's a good play by him. It's a good scheme by the Falcons, and it's something that you see a lot of teams doing. Again, that you can see him drop out here, and Jaden's just trying to fit this ball in over the top of that blitzer before that linebacker can get there, but he can't quite manage it. But he learns his lesson, and he learns it pretty quick. So this next one was in the 4th quarter when they were driving to win the game, and it's a fairly similar look where you have a linebacker bluffing blitzing, and he's going to drop out right underneath the route you want to throw to, and they've got all of this window dressing around it. The one you need to worry about is Zach Ertz running this kind of crossing route, and you'll just see Jaden Daniels learns from his early mistake. He sees the linebacker dropping out. He just makes the slight adjustment to throw behind him, and you'll see it from the end zone angle. I think it's this linebacker here that drops out, or is it this one? It's one of these 2 drops out, and you can see him here. He starts dropping out, and Jaden sees him drop out and knows, okay, I can't just throw it straight at Ertz right here. I have to throw it into the second window here. This is how I got caught on the interception earlier, so I'll make the adjustment, and he throws the other side of him, and Ertz makes the catch, picks up first down, and that sparks the drive going. So it's really good to see the kind of lessons being learned, and in the game and in key situations, he's learning those lessons and improving. So that's obviously hugely impressive and hugely encouraging going forward. And that's great as him as a passer. And then I thought, as I kind of mentioned earlier, his ability as a runner adds so much to the team, and especially when you're talking about in the playoffs. As I kind of mentioned, when you're going through a regular season, you want a sustainable method of playing that can protect the quarterback and involve the entire offense and get everyone involved to try to win games consistently over the course of a long season, so that you're not relying too much on one guy.
Absolutely.
Once you get to the playoffs, it's
absolutely
do whatever you can, win the game.
Absolutely.
And that's what this guy does. So see it here. This is just a read option play that Nick's been talking about all night, or all afternoon. Sorry for you guys. And Jaden just pulls it, picks up 25 yards with ease. I just like the play. But then you can build off of that. So this is later on. You show the little read option thing, and it looks like it's the same read option run scheme, but instead they're running a little pass off of it. And again, you see the end dive down. Jaden's going to pull it, and then now it looks like it's a run. But all of a sudden, we've now got a high-low on one corner here, and we've got Sinnott running to the flat, and we've got Zacchaeus running over the top of the corner route, and this corner basically has no winning option.
On an island, yeah, he's stuck.
He can either sink back and you've got the easy touchdown to Sinnott, or he can bite up, which is what he does, and you have the harder throw to Zacchaeus over the top. Jaden Daniels does an amazing job. I don't quite understand how he makes this throw, and you can see why it kind of
he almost didn't.
Yeah. Wow.
But it's kind of
also
tough.
they got away with quite the illegal downfield here.
Yeah, well, we're not worried about those.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
They don't call it. It's a great play. But Allegretti was about 4 yards downfield. And that was mostly because he was blocking his guy 4 yards downfield.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're going to need to keep building off of that kind of zone option.
Absolutely.
We just saw that the Cowboys struggled with it. Even when they fit it right, they still struggled with it. So the Bucs, their first thing that they're going to have to figure out is how to solve that zone option, because Washington's made a killing on it all year. And so if you can kind of keep adding stuff on top of that, like Mark just showed, then you're in a good spot. But again, even when they have it right, you've got someone like Jaden Daniels that is going to I just showed him, juke out Micah Parsons for a first down. Like, if you can make those
Not
type
the first
of players,
time either.
Yeah, it's just not fair for defenses.
I think you guys nailed it, right? So when Mark was kind of showing with the past film or the past couple plays, is I think the Commanders are fully confident in him, right? They have the training wheels off on the playbook where they kind of allow him to have all these multiple reads and these screens and these run games. They can do all of that with him, which opens up the offense. But when it comes down to it, when it is crunch time, they can depend on him. And that Falcons game, that last drive, was him just like, I'm going to take over the game because I'm the best player on the field. I'm going to outrun everybody. We don't want to live that way. I mean, we can do that in the playoffs potentially, but we have all those options at our disposal right now, which is pretty great going into the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to show here, where he can take over games, and when the defense does everything right, he makes them wrong. This is Saints game. I think this was 2nd and 15. I've got the first down marker drawn in here, and they're running a cross-country dagger where it's a dagger concept, but they've got the extra stuff on top of it just to make it a full. Like, we're stretching the defense this way, we're stretching him that way, we're stretching him underneath, and that's trying to open up this middle of the field for the dagger. None of that really matters. The Saints get some pressure, and Jaden Daniels just says, I'll just do it myself then. And you see he gets to the top of his drop here, the right side of the line's feeling a bit of pressure, and he's just like, okay, well, I don't have time for this stuff to develop down the field, which is a shame because I think this is John Bates might have had a window to throw down the field.
I think that's in it.
It might be Sinnott, yeah. And so there is a window for that potentially, but this pressure doesn't allow it. So Jaden Daniels just steps up and he's like, I'll just go run around everyone and
slipping and sliding out there.
I'll play a bit of Madden myself and I'll make everyone miss and just be an incredible football player. Pick up the first down, slide, protect himself. Good job. Another example here. Falcons get I think it was a free rusher here, or they bring a blitz certainly, and they feel some pressure. That's what it is. Yeah, we see a little lane here, and he could try to just step up and feel this and hit this over route to Ertz, and it's like, well, actually, there's a hell of a lot of space down here.
And basically, who would you rather have the ball in open space to try to get some yards?
I agree.
And again, this is another leverage-based read. You've got safety turning his hips this way. He's worried about Ertz coming across him. You've got this corner turning his hips this way, worried about Terry McLaurin. You've got no flat defender here at all. This defender is facing Ertz inside. This is all just space for Jaden Daniels. And so he just goes, I'll just go run, and I'll go make a guy miss, and I'll go pick up a first down, and then walk out of bounds and make the Falcons hate me for the rest of their lives. But it's just incredible.
I don't understand how he does that.
Center block, yeah.
Like, he's the calmest juker I've ever seen, if that makes any sense. Like, they're just very calm. Like, he just kind of stops, and guys just fly by him.
Yeah. Third down situation, 3rd and short. They go to their favorite mesh concept. They dress it up a little bit. They have Luke McCaffrey running the wheel, and they have all this happening. and they miss a block. And this is like, oh god, it's 3rd and short. We've missed a block, and most quarterbacks are going to get sacked here. And this is, midfield. We're having to punt and possibly lose this game. Jaden Daniels just, I'll just run around him, and then go pick up the first down myself, make another guy miss, and turn it into a 10-yard gain rather than a 5-yard loss. It's incredible.
If people kind of watched this last year when we talked about Washington's offensive line not being as good or not being as bad as what people thought, it was because of the quarterback play and the play calling. You're seeing this year the kind of opposite is, there's still some problems with that offensive line. It's pretty much performing, I would say, around the same level as it did last year.
Exactly.
You're seeing a quarterback make plays, and now the offensive line looks great. And I think that's it just kind of illustrates that how important a quarterback is for offensive linemen. And it's why, one guy was leading the league in sacks and one guy leads the league in scrambles by almost double the next person. So, yeah.
And I think this is why Washington could potentially steal the game against Tampa Bay. Like, I don't know if you guys have been seeing it yet, but Washington's kind of a sexy dark horse pick in this first round on the betting odds in Vegas. You don't like that? Okay.
No.
Well, I think they're minus. I think they're +3 right now because of the Bucs have home field advantage. But I find it interesting because I think the Bucs, they are an offensive explosive team with Baker Mayfield, but they're also pretty volatile. Like, I think, if he has a couple of turnovers, if our defense can show up to play, Washington could potentially steal this game. Detroit's another animal, right? If we play Detroit the following weekend, I think they're more of a well-rounded team, a great rushing attack with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. That'll be a little bit harder of a challenge, but, we never know what's going to happen this Sunday.
You're never out of a game. Like, you're just never
out of a game.
You're never going to be going into a game with him at quarterback where you can't win it. And that's incredible.
He gives you so much.
This Eagles game, you should have no business winning that game whatsoever with 5 turnovers, and you do. So
Eagle fans will tell you that too.
Yeah. I didn't get into those arguments because I kind of agreed with him. I was like, "There's no way they won that game." But
yeah.
So this is just another example of what he can bring to the offense. It's 3rd and 8. And the Eagles do the right thing of spreading out to cover the empty set. They keep 6 defenders in the box, but even then the linebackers are kind of playing very light and spread. You got the 2 safeties back deep, so it's quite a light box, and you would expect that on 3rd and 8. You're not expecting any form of run. Jaden Daniels sees that, and he's like, okay, I'll just check my play. I'll walk up to the line of scrimmage. I've got a light box. We'll run a little quarterback trap, and so they trap the 3 technique, which is Jalen Carter. They bring Nick Allegretti to trap him. These 2 guys fake blocking him, and you get the Andrew Wiley and Sam Cosmi fake blocking him, and they work up to the 2nd level. You get the center blocking back on the defense tackle on that side, and Jaden Daniels is just going to run it up the middle for, I think it was 13 yards he ended up picking up before sliding. And you'll see it from the end zone angle. Again, you've got the nice trap scheme. We've seen this a few times. You fake the block, you go up to the 2nd level, you fake the block, go up to 2nd level, and then this guy comes, oh, what's happening? Who am I getting blocked by? And suddenly he gets whammed by the trapping guard from the back side, and Jaden Daniels just runs it right up the heart of the defense and picks up 13 yards on 1st down on 3rd and 8. 4th and 2. We call quite a nice concept here with a rollout, and we try to hit something down the field. Eagles do a great job bailing out of it and picking up everything. Everything's pretty much dead, and Jaden Daniels just goes, you know what, I'll just run it myself, and I'll convert. 4th and 2. Who cares? It's no big deal. I'll make it right. The defense made us wrong. I'll make it right. 4th and 11. Same game.
Wondering what you got to display.
And again, Eagles bail out into coverage and have pretty much most things covered. And Jaden Daniels gets to the top of his drop, feels some pressure, and he's just like, well, suddenly there's this big open lane in the middle of the field. I'll just take off running, and then I'll go make 3 defenders miss, break through an arm tackle, nearly break through another, and score a touchdown off of it.
It was just like that, almost just like that, the run he had against Florida, where a still shot. There's 6 Florida defenders around him. He turns it into a touchdown. He didn't turn this into a touchdown. He nearly did. But, I mean, if you go back, there's 4 guys that have formed like a perfect diamond around him.
Do you guys have any apprehension of Jaden Daniels running at this point? I know at the beginning of the year we kind of showed a little bit, like week 1 he had 16 carries, we were a little bit stressed out about it, but do we have full trust in him now that he can protect himself and it's the most important weapon on the field, or what are your thoughts on him right now?
I don't know, full trust. There's still some moments where I think he runs a little bit too high, and some of the design run game stuff I'm not a huge fan of because you are putting him in more stress, but again, it is also so effective. So I wouldn't say full trust in him. I would like him to do it a little bit less. But he has, like you said, from week 1 to now, so much better, like miles better of protecting himself, getting out of bounds, sliding.
And they use him in the red zone too. Better. Yeah, I feel like they use him in the red zone too. Like, I don't know how often you guys watch the Ravens game as well, but they do a lot of like power traps where the guards are getting in front of Lamar Jackson, and Lamar's kind of following them behind it as a designated runner. And I'm starting to see that with Jaden more so. So I'm starting to get some confidence in it. But Mark, I'm sorry to step on your toes. What are your thoughts on him?
No, you're good. I'm far more confident in him. I thought it was going to be the biggest question was, could you stop him from? Could you make him protect himself and stop him from being?
We were both wrong on our biggest questions of him, basically.
and he's proven that worry completely wrong. And I think that hit he took in the first Giants game kind of spooked him a little bit because he was a little bit reckless in those first game and a half until he took that hit. And I think that spooked him, and he's like, okay, this is another level. I need to tone it down a little bit. And since then, he's done a much better job protecting himself. His technique with sliding and stuff could use improvement, but I have pretty good confidence in his judgment now. But the thing I would say, we talked about being able to scramble around and make plays work when they don't in the playoffs. That's huge. But he does still try to remain a passer when he can. And this will be Nick's favorite play of the game of the day. You got Zach Ertz picking up big yak.
Big yak.
And so, you get pressure off this edge real quick. He gets his kind of foot in the ground at the top of his drop, and he quickens it up, and he does a great job getting out of that. That should be a sack. But then he scrambles out, and a lot of quarterbacks, scrambling quarterbacks would be like, okay, I'm just going to take off running. But hey, I've got Zach Ertz wide open here. I'll just flip my hips, throw out to him, and then we get to see Zach Ertz catching the ball, the 32?
I think he doubled his yak on this play.
Let's see where he goes. It's not the most graceful I've ever seen someone.
Might have tripled his yak on that one.
But it's kind of turning speed of a cruise liner, but he manages to make some guy miss and pick up some yak, so good on him.
It's funny because go ahead. I want to speak.
Well, I was just going to say, like, the whole scrambling part, like if you watch the mic'd up thing, I don't know who it was talking to him, but they said something like, when you scramble, remember, keep your eyes up. And
to be a pitcher.
He pointed to it like the first 2 weeks or first 3 weeks that there's stuff open when he scrambles, and he's starting to take advantage of it. And again, to do that already is awesome.
All I was going to say, it's been 14, 15 weeks of us together, maybe even longer, watching Zach Ertz. So whenever I think of Zach Ertz, I think of Nick Ackridge now. So thank you, Nick. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
And then I think this was the last play I had. This was just one where, he's learning more to scramble to pass, and he's been better at it throughout the season. He's had moments where he's been a little bit inconsistent with it, but this is one of those plays that I talk about where when you get to the playoffs, you just need to make things work. And we have a special quarterback here that can make things work. You got kind of a mirrored smash concept with a flat and a corner. And you got Jameson Crowder sitting over the middle. Terry McLaurin is down here. Just pointing that out. This is Terry McLaurin down here. He's running the flat to the right here.
On what side of the field? The right side?
The right side. I know, it's amazing, right?
You can do that? I had no idea.
So Jaden thinks about just throwing this ball underneath Jameson Crowder straight away, and you can see he kind of begins his throwing motion and puts the ball back down. It's like, actually, no, I think we can do better than that. But pressure starts arriving off this right-hand side, and he doesn't really have anything else. I mean, you could throw this to the flat and pick up a short gain. Again, you could still just throw this to Jameson Crowder and see if he can pick up some yards after the catch. But Jaden's going big game hunting. And so he goes scrambling out to his right, nearly fumbles the ball. Here's Terry McLaurin over here, by the way. He was in the flat over here, and he saw Jaden running that way. He's like, okay, I'll go give him an option. So just keep a reminder. There's Terry McLaurin. No particular reason. Back over here, Jaden's dropped the ball, picks it back up, and now he's like, okay, I've got a guy in my face. Where am I going to throw this ball? Oh, there's my guy Terry McLaurin. I'll just throw it to him in the end zone and score an incredible touchdown. And the end zone angle of it is just even better.
This is one of his better plays of the year. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, and this is the prototypical Patrick Mahomes play.
Yes.
The kind of play that it's a back-breaking play. It's a playoff type play. It's one where the quarterback, you don't want to make a living off of this in a regular season. This can't be how you survive and function.
I had a heart attack, I think, when he fell there. What are you doing?
But in the playoffs, I'll take this 10 times a game in the playoffs. I just do it, make it work, and score the touchdown. And
it looks a little Heineke-esque there.
Heineke, I don't know if I'd call it Heineke. I'd rather say Mahomes.
I don't know the way Heineke played against the Bucs in the playoffs.
That's true.
Well, I mean, who won that game though?
That's true.
Wasn't his fault.
So yeah, that was kind of just what I wanted to highlight there. With Jaden Daniels, they have a chance. My general feeling is that the Bucs match up far better against Washington than Washington do with Tampa Bay. I think defensively, Washington's going to have a hard time dealing with Tampa, and how Washington handles the blitz packages that Todd Bowles puts together will go a long way to deciding this game. But with Jaden Daniels, you have a chance. And that is far more than what you could have said about Washington in the past decade or more. And he's a guy that he can just take over games and he can say, I'm going to go make this play work, regardless of if the concept works, I'll throw it and it works, great. If the coverage is good, I'll just go scramble around and make it work myself. And that is an incredible person to have in the playoffs when it's just, either win or go home. And so he gives them a chance, and as long as he stays healthy, he will give them a chance for a long, long time, I think.
Absolutely. We've all been talking about it for almost decades now, right? Once you get a quarterback, you can do anything, right? You can compete with all these higher level teams in the playoffs. So it's fun to finally have one in our stable going against the Buccaneers going up this week. Gentlemen, it's been fantastic. I missed you guys. I think the fans have missed us as well.
It's been like a month.
Yeah, the holidays kind of broke our usual schedule up. But if you're looking up here, 1,037 viewers on Twitter, on YouTube, and on Twitch. I really appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hopefully, we'll have another segment next week for our divisional round against the Detroit Lions. That'll be very interesting.
If they lose, I don't know if I can do it.
He'll go to the darkness like Aaron Rodgers. I won't see him for a little while. But Nick, let's close on you, Nick. Mark kind of gave us his thoughts on the Bucs. I'm curious with you. What is one thing that we, either a strategy going into the game or something you want to see improved going into the Buccaneers game on Saturday?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as Mark here. I don't like the matchup. Their run game has been really good. Bucky Irving is a problem. Run defense has been very bad for Washington. Bobby Wagner's been kind of saving them in that front a little bit. If Lattimore doesn't play, I don't know how that works out. But again, you've got Jaden Daniels on the other side, and it just kind of evens everything out. There's a reason the spread's only 3. But when you look at these rosters, it's not really close. But I think they have a shot in every single game, and I can't wait.
I can't wait either. I'm sure Marshawn Lattimore would like to get up for that little boxing match against Mike Evans too.
I don't think he's going to miss that one.
I don't think I missed that one either. Thanks, guys, for your insight. Great film breakdown. I really appreciate it. Everyone that watched, we appreciate that too. See you guys next Tuesday. Peace.